as we log on here, I'm going to show a slideshow for you of some of the work of our esteemed panelists today while we warm up. But please continue saying hello to each other.
Thank you. Beautiful.
We have some great examples of work from all over the world. We have 4 experts with us today who are going to share their vision for what they've done and, of course, what they see the future. Because it's all about the future. Beatrice, you will mute everyone at 9:32.
Yes, and then we get started.
So let me start explaining how this will work this morning. We will have 2 sections. The first section will discuss the built environment, more structural, and we have 2 experts in there, which I'll introduce in a moment. In the second section, we'll move more to interior design and soft programming, and we have 2 other experts in that section. We will take Q&A. We'll have a little time at the end, and we'll try to monitor the chat as we go. My task force is on with me. It's been a great team effort to put this together. And so we will all play a part and try and get to your questions.
Today is about spa.
So many beautiful images.
I said you have to have it dropped in the garden and you have to just get a lot of people to lift it up and move it.
I'm tired already.
Do a base in an hour. 6 inch base.
Okay, it's slide 22. Do you want to unshare?
Yes. I will unshare my screen. Okay, good morning, everyone. Beatrice is going to mute all of us. And so as we speak, we will unmute. Good morning. Thank you for joining us from around the world. We are very excited to bring this program to you today. We being the consulting initiative and my task force of 7 people who've been a great source of inspiration to me. Why did we do this? We said, you know, the consultants are the bridge between what happens in operations and the ideas and vision of owners. And we need to think about where do we go from here. And it was somewhat inspired by COVID, but the fact is wellness design has been evolving in interesting ways, very much in the recent history. And now we have this issue of distancing and hygiene. And so we thought it would be great to ask some experts, what they think about how this will actually play out in long-term wellness and spa design. So this morning for our first section on the built environment, I'd like to welcome Alberto Apostoli from Studio Apostoli based in Verona, I think, Italy. He's done many amazing spas all over the world, including Le Fay, which I can't say enough amazing things about. So we're thrilled to have Alberto with us. And our other speaker will be Kay Sargent, who is the Senior Principal of Workplace at HOK, a huge, massive 24-studio global company. Kay travels the world quite a bit until the last few weeks. So if you would like to see who is speaking, I would suggest you use the speaker view on the top right of your Zoom screen, and then you won't be confused. If you're in gallery view, you'll just be able to dial through everyone. Please put your questions in the chat. We will get to them, and we will ask you to unmute and say your name and where you're from and ask your question. So let's get started. I'm going to go to Kay first. Kay has to leave us sooner. And I'm going to ask Kay just to give us a little 2-minute introduction on her and the work of HOK and what she sees in the spa and wellness space. So good morning, Kay. You need to unmute bottom left.
Thank you. So good morning, everyone. HOK is a large architectural firm, and we have offices all over the world. And we are working with our clients in multiple different sectors. So we do everything from designing stadiums to airports, to workplaces, to healthcare, hospitality, spas, the whole entire realm. And we really focus a lot on how do we incorporate space fusion? How do we take what's working really well in one sector and leverage that in another, and how do we start to create better environments. And I spend a tremendous amount of my time talking about workplace of the future, environments of the future, how things are going to be impacting all of us, and kind of casting an eye towards what is coming.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Now, Alberto, I'll jump to you. Could you just give us a quick summation of what your work is in the moment in wellness and spa?
Okay, we work in this business in the spa and the wellness sector since 1997, so it's more than 20 years, and we develop from design, from single product design to big spa, according to our philosophy. That is that says that architecture is just the final things. Before we have wellness inspiration, we have wellness 100%, and so architecture is just the final stage of our process. So I mean, we like to have a view, or overview, complete open overview on the project. So we like to get into the management, operations, and all the other things combined with the concept of wellness. And then we develop our architecture and interior design. So it's a process not very linear. It's a let's say it's a loop process, and this allows us to create good project, I think, that is more or less well integrated and multidisciplinary. This is our main issue and main target.
Now, Kay, let me jump back to you. What are you seeing at HOK in terms of the client demand on wellness and spa spaces, hospitality spaces in general? And has anything been brought into the conversation about COVID-related alterations at this point?
Yeah, so I'm going to go way up to 30,000 feet. Okay. And I'm going to give you kind of just a broader net here. We believe that in the world in general, we are living in a time right now where there is an increased sense of burnout. There is techno stress. There are people that are on 24/7, and this was all pre-COVID. Okay, and we've been talking about well-being and needing to incorporate more elements of that in every sector, not just in this. And we need to be pulling those into workplaces. We need to be pulling those into healthcare. We need to be creating every environment that we're going in to be places where people have respite, can be more mindful, are designed with intent and purpose. And so before COVID even hit, we were at this crescendo of people just being stressed out to the max, and our wellness and our mental health and our physical health being pushed to the brink. Okay. Now we have COVID hit. And not only is there the physical concern now, but there's also now a heightened sensitivity to everything that comes around us. And there's a whole nother layer of stress and anxiety and social separation, and everything that we could take for granted before and just kind of navigate through the day, we now have to rethink. And so all of this is really putting an added strain onto the system. And so we believe that all the spaces that we need to be designing today really need to be designed from a human-centric point of view. That we have to be able to incorporate elements of nature. We need to be able to leverage all the principles and elements of design to really create environments where people can feel safe, feel secure, have a moment of respite, and can refresh. And I think, in this era that we're living in right now, everybody instantly goes to how do we change the physical space? And this is coming from a designer. I am going to say, I think that's the easiest thing that we have in front of us right now. The hardest thing that we have in front of us right now is the social dynamics. is appealing to people's ability to find those moments of calm and respite and the human condition. And so we are acutely focused right now on how do we do that. And we're leveraging a lot of the material that we were creating over the last few years about neurodiversity, well-being, and mindfulness, and just creating spaces that can help people achieve a better sense and a more holistic sense of health and well-being.
Well, that's well said, and a great point. We were all rushing about, all of us on this call have been rushing about, and taking our pause in spas, and yet we're rushing to get to the spa. So now we've got this inadvertent pause button, and I'm going to jump to Alberto and say, Alberto, what is your feedback on how you think this is going to affect design in the future in our spa and wellness spaces?
Well, let's say that my view is very, very positive and very optimistic, and I'd like to explain this. It's mainly due for two main reasons. First is that our business, so wellness world, must to communicate to the world that wellness it's a way to prevent and to to prevent also this kind of diseases. I mean, wellness, it's a way to be more immune, because sauna, cold water, all the treatment can transform us in a body, in a mind, and in a brain more immune by all these things. So I think wellness today could be related more to health aspects. This is my point of view. And second, I would say that this fact will push our design in a more integrated design and multidisciplinary approach. I mean, it's not possible now to just design. We need to design with consultant, with spa managers, with operating staff. So it's a multidisciplinary things, because it's not possible to call this big event without a teamwork. So I think this is another way, because I think that our sector, big wellness, will grow. Absolutely. Because for these two reasons, I really believe it. So for me, COVID will determine a second level of wellness business.
Okay, that makes sense. I think you're right. It's just taking what we were doing maybe to another level. I want to jump back to Kay, because I know she has this really interesting concept I hadn't heard much about, and I'd like to see how that plays out in a spa and wellness environment. And it's called neurodiversity, and it involves, well, I'll let Kay explain it. She's the expert, and she can address biophilic design as well. Thanks, Kay.
Yeah, sure, happy to. So, we all have anxieties in our lives and stresses in our lives, and we all know that there's a huge uptick in the amount of depression, even before COVID, and now post-COVID, it's even more intense. But there's also, a huge focus right now on diversity and inclusivity. And a client asked us several years ago, how do you design a space for someone who has ADHD? And we had done some research on that and had some information, but when we really started to delve into that, we found there was a great void of information. Most of the information related to people that are neurodiverse is all related to how do we deal with them in school. But the bottom line is that this is something that you live with your entire life. So people that are neurodiverse are people that are either ADHD, on the spectrum, Tourette's, autistic, etc. And they have some real challenges, but they also have some superpowers. And our research basically shows that when you are neurodiverse, you tend to be hypo are hypersensitive. You either can't take too much stimulation or you thrive and you need extra stimulation, like the fidget things, and you need to move and physically get that out of your body. And adults have this. I mean, it doesn't go away. And the numbers are staggering. 1 in 8 people is considered neurodiverse, but less than 50% of people know it because most adults were never officially diagnosed. Now, how does this apply to this world? Everybody has intelligence, emotional intelligence, and sensory intelligence. We all have sensitivities to smell, touch, taste, sound, all of those things, visuals. But most of us are not really very well aware of those. And when you're neurodiverse, you tend to spike really high or really low. But in this time of COVID, everybody now has a heightened sensitivity to these things. And so when we understand that everybody has sensitivities to these things, and that to create a really holistic experience where I can physically walk into a space and it instantly changes how I feel, it instantly can distress me. I mean, we truly believe in the power of design. We really do. And we believe that if we design a space well, it should, the second I walk in, I get that sense and it can physically alter my mood, my emotions, and how I feel, and appeal to us in a very raw way. But we have to understand how to do that, and we have to incorporate elements of sensory stimulation, and we need to understand that some people have heightened sensitivities and some people need more and or less. And so
you would, like in a spa and wellness environment, would you think about how you laid out reception, retail treatments with this concept in mind?
All right, so sure. So let me just give you an example. If I walked into a box that was white, really brightly lit, red walls, etc., that is a very different environment than walking into something with lower light levels, with natural materials and woods that have different gradations, that have plants, etc. There's something totally different about that experience, and so it's much more relaxing. We can design spaces that can stimulate you or they can put you at ease. And so it's really, really critical to understand how we use those elements and those principles of design to create that right environment that we're trying to achieve in the workspace.
Well, I love the idea of stimulation in retail and relaxation in the back of the house, right, or in the treatment areas.
Absolutely. And it's all about understanding those elements and principles and how we incorporate those. And even the images that we were looking at in the beginning of this really kind of showcase how biophilia and incorporating that. And when we talk about biophilia, it's really important that we understand we're not just talking about sticking a plant in the corner and saying, okay, good, we've got it. We believe that it's really important that there's all kinds of natural elements, and spas tend to do this really, really well, right? Whether it's sand, whether it's wood patterns, whether it's stones, whether it's the colorations that you're using, whether it's the lighting levels, different lighting levels stimulate real world scenarios. We need to be able to pull in all of those. It's about smells, it's about the touches, it's about even the taste and things like that. Smell is one of our most powerful senses. And if you walk into a space and it doesn't smell good, you're going to remember that. But most of us, if you walk into a Ritz-Carlton, there is a smell to a Ritz-Carlton, and it instantly conjures up this notion or a memory. Or there is a smell to certain department stores, and it can be really, really powerful. And often those multisensory experiences are not leveraged to the fullest capability to really help create these holistic sensory experiences that the second I walk in the door, everything about me can just relax and calm.
Well, it's a fascinating concept, and I thank you for bringing that to us, because I think, I don't know, I'm not a designer, but you think about the spa as this one big space, and I like this idea of addressing that neurodiversity in different aspects of that same space. I know you've got to jump off soon, Kay. So
I do. So I hope I'm going to type in here real quickly in the chat my email address, and if anybody has any further questions, I am more than happy to share. Thank you guys for letting me crash your little event for a brief period of time. But I wish you all well in the next several sessions, and thank you for inviting me.
Thanks, Kay. Thanks for joining us so much. So Alberto,
Yeah.
taking this a step further on the whole wellness spa, design, biophilia, how do you see any changes coming? And I guess the question is really, do you think this COVID situation will have a long-term impact on design of our spaces?
Actually, I don't think we will face strong changes. It's not possible to change what nature defines in our soul. I mean, socializing, it's part of wellness concept. It's not possible to avoid to socialize. Socialization, it's 100% wellness concept. So if we think that we can divide people, it's not wellness. We are talking about other things. So what I think maybe we can work more on, scattered spa, disseminated spa, because maybe instead of having a big spaces, it could be a good idea to have small, different places with different concept, different philosophy, or maybe one concept related to another in a kind of link. But it's really a strong moment if we should clear the socializing function in our spa. It's 3,000 years of human being evolution. So socializing has to be a must, absolutely. We must find another way to socialize maybe. But I don't think that COVID consequence will be very hard in the future. Probably in the next 3, 4, 6 months, but no more. Mm-hmm. Now it's difficult to have a clear mind because we are still confused. Yes, but I'm very convinced that all the aspect, all the values that we are adding in our spa will remain. With the only thing that probably we will be more aware of the power of wellness on the earth of people. Mm. This is the more important consequence. So probably even the government, even the institutional world should recognize that wellness could have a great role in our earth system.
Okay, that makes sense. So how do we take this opportunity then as a wellness industry? You hit on a very good point. Consumers are so aware now that, oh, if I, do the right thing, I eat right, I diet, I exercise, I get sleep, I'm more healthy, I don't get sick. So we have this opportunity. How do we take advantage of that in this moment?
I think the first things to do is to communicate. Communication is 50% of the problem with the COVID, maybe more. Communication is the worst thing in all this issue. So I think that we must communicate. Of course, we have to do it. Maybe we need to train more our staff. Maybe we need to pay more attention in maintenance, in air conditioning, in water treatment, in the cleaning of surfaces. Maybe we need to choose different materials. But all this is just a few parts. The main point is to communicate that wellness is not the problem. water and hair is not the problem. The problem is other things. And to communicate this is the priority in my way to think. This is what I say to my client. Okay, they are very afraid because in Italy, you know, we had a strong impact. But believe me that I personally don't know anybody that get COVID. And I'm living in the north part of Italy that is very critical. So the main point is to communicate that wellness. It's a key to solve the problem. It's not the problem.
Right.
Of course, we need to work a little bit in details about procedure. You know, a lot of spa in the world don't have really strong procedure. Now is the challenge, is the way to create procedure to work better, to protect our clients.
Right.
But it's just an operating and management issue.
Well, that's the consultant's job, right? To run and jump in there and help make sure things run smoothly. But I like your issue around communication. And to that, I know in spas, we've been trying to educate our guests and sort of become more social, especially as millennials become such a force and they like to do things in a social way. Do you see an impact on design in having larger social spaces in spa, or maybe those that could be used for education, like when you have a talk or a workshop sort of towards the front of the space and not hidden? Are you seeing that, Alberto?
Yes, we need to communicate, of course, to our client. The only thing that could be only maybe pushed more is the outdoor spaces. Mm-hmm. So you see, if I have an hotel or a spa and I have a big park, a big garden, I say that I have to push the things out, because outside, the outdoor is safer than inside. So let's say that normally all the spa have a garden, or a lot of them have it. So, but nobody thought to use it for revenues. Okay, so if you have a park, if you have a garden, try to enlarge your spa outside, because outside, outdoor spa is one of the solution. And don't forget that nature is the mother of all wellness. So maybe we need to think in design, creating different solutions also for the outside. It could be some small, you know, maybe temporary architecture, maybe some small corners in which to create event, or maybe some treatment, or maybe some pools, small pools. So we have to be creative a lot, but we have to use our outdoor environment.
That's very true, Alberto. But not all spas have access to the outdoors, and in the U.S. we have 25,000 day spas that may not have that option. Do you have any suggestions for incorporating biophilic design or any repurposing of space within a facility that doesn't have outdoor access?
And you see, this is not a easy things to
No.
try to do, because if you don't have space, maybe the only thing that you can do is to enlarge the opening time of your spa. Maybe you have to distribute in a different way your clients. Maybe you need to push the room service in terms of treatment. Mm-hmm. So rather than having all the massage inside the spa, you can suggest to having in the rooms. And so maybe if you open from 9 to 8 o'clock p.m., maybe you have to open from 6 o'clock in the morning till 12.
Right.
But if you don't have the spaces, it's impossible to create it from nothing. Maybe if you have some specific kind of treatment, you can avoid the more wet kind of treatment instead of dry treatment. This could be a solution. So you have a lot of small things, but there's no, I don't have the rabbit in my head.
Right. Too bad, no magic here. No, I mean, and you're right. Those are things we're addressing, I think, in operations, at least at the moment. Staggered starts, the way we're layering people, the way we're bringing clients in, and it's all very new in the US. Spas, the most have been open 2 or 3 weeks, many opening this week. So we're just still feeling our way. I do appreciate your long-term view that this is not going to change design forever. That we just need to be more thoughtful in the meantime. So thank you so much for your contributions. I don't know if you have time to stick around, but we're going to move to our second section, and I'm going to introduce my next 2 panelists. So thanks again, Alberto.
Thank you very much to you.
We have Paulina Moran, who is based in Cancun and has been in the hospitality and hotel design field and interior design. She also does yachts and airplanes, if anybody has a need for that on the call. And she owns a textile company. And our second panelist, Rene Pierre, architect, interior architect based in Germany, Schienbein+Pier, and he has worked in spa since 2003. He has done, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 spas around the world. If you go to his website, you'll be quite amazed. So I'd like to welcome both of them to the call. And Paulina, I'm going to jump to you first as we move into sort of the interior and design aspect of our chat. What changes do you see coming in wellness and spa design on interiors?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for the invitation. It's really a pleasure to be here. From Mexico, we have a different perspective. It's very similar, like Alberto's. We are a Latin country where we see the catastrophic that it's around the world, but we really, I think that we grow with the adversity. As Alberto, I think that this will pass in a few months. In Mexico, we're not reaching the top of the peak yet. We're waiting and waiting for the worst things to come, and every week it goes worse and worse. But the thing is that I think that we had to work from our inner selves to the outside. I think that like the Spanish plague and many, many diseases that the humanity has suffered, I think that things will pass. I'm very positive to that. What we're working now on the spa sector is to give each one of our guests the things that can reinforce its immune system. For instance, we can have a therapy with echinacea, that it's one of the best things to reinforce your immunity systems. We can have things like individual therapies with infrared light. I don't know, I'm just thinking that the space that we had in each one of the spas has to be a custom-made experience for each one of the clients, because people will need different things. I maybe, as Kay was saying, people that are very sensitive to and have special capacities. We have to design a treatment for them, or to build a space for them. If people are more aware of depression and everything, we had to give them a setting that can enhance and can uplift their strength and their soul. So in the next project that we're working now with Diana Mestre, that it's a really good consultant, we're building the first 4D space, 4D spa. What we're
4D?
4D spa. We're going to give the guest a multi-sensorial experience when they are experiencing one of the treatment, the massage, the jiatsu, all the treatment that Diana is designing. We're going to build up around them, a 4D experience with music, with video, in a very enhanced way, with smell. So when you go to your cabin in the hotel, you will have a special experience designed for you. We are trying to give a little bit more so people can say, I went to this spa on this hotel, that it's amazing. The treatment is amazing because it should be, but I have an experience out of this world. Because,
so is it personalized, Paulina, like for that
yes.
guest?
Yes, because for instance, I was born in October. I'm a Libra. Maybe in the ceiling of the cabin, we will have a stellar sky in the day that I was born. I am see my astral chart. So we are going to give the client in the end of the massage, Diana and I work a lot with that, maybe your astral chart with a stone that reminds you that it's your energy. We had to give the people plus, a little bit plus, so you can forget about COVID, about all the things and the rights that are in the work. I think that in the moment that you go to the spa, you have to forget everything and you must have a unique experience.
Well, that sounds like you're going to have that opportunity, and great that you were able to have the owner and the consultant and you, so you can create this special. That sounds amazing. When will that be available? Next year? This year?
I think that should be next year. It would be the next Chablé project in La Paz. But what is very interesting, and as Alberto and Kay are saying, I think that work with a consultant in a spa makes the difference. We have the privilege to make a lot of spa, big ones, small ones, with the people of Mandarin Oriental, with the organic spa. We have really a nice experience. But what I see is when you work in a good team with the architect, with the interior designer, the people that operate the hotel, and the consultant, it gives you a plus. This experience of the 4D spa comes in a meeting with Diana, where we start to working and talking about the local culture where the hotel is going to be. And it's an experience. I think that you pass a photograph because the local people get in a trance when they had to chase a deer. So this cosmic experience, all the design team and the consultant teams, why don't we do this experience that could be a 4D, where the client could live the experience? All the walls in the cabins are sand pressed, so if you touch them, it's very nice.
It's tactile, you know, it has
tactile.
That's nice.
The floors are very smooth. They had a little texture. But the thing is that we love to give them a 4D experience.
That's amazing.
Yes, with a custom-made experience for each one.
Well, we're getting lots of comments in the chat that people like this idea, and I'm sure they'll want to hear more. Please, if you have questions for our panelists, please put them in the chat. And I'm going to run at this point to Rene and introduce him. Rene, as I said, has made many, many spas around the world, and he's got a lot of interesting ideas, especially around digitalization and AI. So I'd like to introduce him. And Rene, start you off with the question of, what are you seeing in your current projects in terms of design of spa and wellness? What are clients asking you for?
Yes, hello everybody around the world. I'm really honored to be on this panel, and very exciting that this exists, and that the crisis makes this chance to open up the thoughts of everyone to everyone and share moments like this with people you never met before, and you maybe not met without these video conferences. So it is very important that global organizations operate in this way and bring people together and share their thoughts. So for us, it's another approach to what we heard before, because we were asked to do something completely different. We are asked for a democratic approach to design and to spa, so that to create a spa for all, because we said we are more keen on healthcare and self-responsibility on healthcare. So we have also to access the spa for everyone. Everyone has to have an access to the spa. So that's why it is very important to create venues that are not that costly, to give a small threshold to enter to wellness and spa. So we have to define luxury in a completely different way now, because health is the main issue of luxury. Without health, nothing else matters. So the next is to experience safely a non-spoiled environment, because this makes and keeps us healthy. And then, of course, this means that we have to develop a new ability to fulfill the sustainable development goals of the world. So we have to be responsible. And in the architectural business, we have to be responsible for the environment. So every material we take, every construction we think, has to fulfill these matters, because the building itself has to be healthy. So then we can address health to others. So this is one of the major communication tools we develop for the next project, which is unfortunately postponed to next year because of the loss in the crisis. But anyway, it's this one we really need to look at. And as Alberto said, outdoor is at first the real key to the development, because we cannot switch off the infection realization where it happens. We have to be aware that indoors it's still a problem of when you have more people inside, and how they breathe and how they act and how they interact and how they talk. So this is still a reality we have to face. So outdoor will help us, and all the designs and all the ideas we create for the outdoors will help us to overcome the first and the coming future. After that, then we are open to everything and free for new thinking. But
well, it's funny what you say. I've heard many experts say that, well, it's kind of surprising we haven't had more pandemics. It's been 102 years since the last one. The world has never been more crowded. We're traveling more. And really, we were in very close proximity. And so maybe this has raised our awareness. And I think that as Alberto said, in the immediate future, we're worried, but what will it be like next year and next year? Maybe will there be a lasting sort of a little bit fear, a little bit more distance? What do you think?
So I'm not a psychologist, but it's a very, very intense question, how people will develop themselves in the face of fear, because everyone you cross on the street, everyone you meet and you don't know him, is a potential infection risk. So this is what you have to manage, that you are a social being, you are a human being that lives on social life and not on ego, depression, being alone at home. So you are a social being. So you have to be both. You have to create spaces to meet other people, but to have still the feeling of safety. And this is a moment which comes into your mind. And this is not on the first run a question of design or architecture. It is a question of how you are informed. I absolutely agree with Alberto. Communication about the risk factor and to enable the people to react to the real infection risk. This leads to another approach to everything. So
well, now we're faced with these two diverging needs, if you will. I mean, we were only 4 months ago, pre-COVID, we were looking at how millennials like to be social and they like to come together. And we've seen many spa concepts in the US that are more social. Like you have your facials all in one big room and not getting away from that private treatment room with one therapist model that was sort of a luxury model and being more social. And yet now we have this fear introduced. So where do we go? Which road do we take? Or is it both? And Alberto, feel free to weigh back in if you'd like to, but where do we go with this situation?
We have to create a hybrid approach to it. And this is what is the real challenge for this generation. They are used to live in the virtual world and in the real world in one. So you can communicate on distance, but you are also physically near. So you see it when you go to a coffee shop. They are sitting close to each other, but still communicating about their device. So it is not saying this or that. You can do both. So, and I think this hybrid approach can bring exactly what you said. You are together in safe distance, but you are mentally connected via your devices. So this is a completely new approach of being here and there on one time. Okay. And also, it's also to get movements in the spa would be controlled by booking and tracking apps. So you will have a combination of booking and tracking. So you can distribute people in an area, you can distribute people around the building, around the spa, around the hotel, and you can book places. So the spa will be not a place in the hotel, but the hotel will be a spa. Or you can live in the hotel as it is a spa. So there is no room which is dedicated for sleeping. This is no room this is dedicated for this and that. You have to be a completely share of places. And then you have space enough, because there is space, but you have to utilize the space in a completely different way as it was before. So,
all right, that makes sense. I like that. And I'd like to jump to Alberto on that, because we
Yes.
do need to see sort of the infusion of wellness throughout the space. And you've done a masterful job at Lefay in conveying that.
Yes, the concept that Rene explained, is one of the great solution. You mean now, today we think about a spa, and then we think about restaurant, and then we think about rooms. But if we need to spread wellness through the structure, this is a way to distribute people and to offer a wellness experience in every part of the structure. This is a great opportunity, and is the real concept, is the real wellness concept. Wellness is not that I'm in a good situation inside the spa and then I'm suffering in the restaurant. So wellness, it's a total, complete 24-hour experience. This crisis will help to push this concept. And if this concept will become a real fact, like I already tried to do in Lefay, as you said, Lisa, and this is the great opportunity.
I love what you did at Lefay Dolmite, where in the hydrothermal area, which is expansive and just amazingly designed, but there's a little desk where you book for the spa. And the first time I went, thought, oh, the spa's behind the door. No, the spa's on another floor. But it's a way to capture all that traffic that goes into the hydrothermal area and get them to the spa, which is in yet another floor. So I just like that way it's diffused. There's just different areas. It's not sort of that confined idea that we're used to. But I mean, this requires vision and commitment from an owner, no doubt.
But it's you know, it's a way to think about wellness. Let me say it's very European way. I mean, in the U.S., I don't want to say in general, but wellness is too much entertainment. In Europe, we thought it's just it's not so correct. But let me talk frankly. Okay.
Please do.
In Europe, wellness is more an experience. It's a way to live. It's a vision to live in that way. It's not just a spot in your life. It's what is your dream to live in that way forever.
Right.
That's because it's more open to this kind of concept. There's only another thing, maybe Lisa, if I can, Rene, to add about the technology. You mentioned technology before. I think technology, it's a great challenge to solve the matter. You know, the Black Pest in the 14th century have a great success because they didn't have any technology. But now we have technology. So technology could help us also to develop a better solution.
Right, and that's what we're seeing. We heard from Paulina. I want to jump back to her because we had questions in the chat about, well, we love that idea of the utter personalization, like projecting the sky of the night you were born on the treatment room. But how does that happen? You know, Paulina, how does that work?
Well, it has a long project because we're like back and forth with the architects, with the spa consultants, with the main actor here. It's the people, the lighting consultant, Luis Lozoya, that it's really a genius in this kind of technology. But what we are going to do with the ceiling, it's a curved false ceiling made with plaster. And in the center, we will have a round hole that has this flat screen material, like a very thin fabric. And in one of the sides, we will hide a projector that goes directly straight to the fabric. But the thing is that if I'm in the massage bed, in the camilla in Spanish, if I go and see to the sky, I cannot identify the focus or the light source. So we're going to hide it in the part of my head. So the only thing that I can see is the projection. And the consultant or the therapist will talk to you later, and she or he will ask you, what is your mood? What you like to reinforce? What is the things that you want to enhance? But instead, if you're in a very happy mood, you can have this sky with running clouds that it's very, very specific of the desert. And you can have a symphony that comes along because you had to remember the experience that you have made especially for you. And talking about Rene and Pierre and Rene, Pierre and
Alberto.
I think that we had advantage now, but we cannot hide from the COVID. We had to reinforce our immune system with vitamins, with echinacea, as the way that they do a long time ago, because it's the thing that we're waiting for like the boy crying wolf. We're waiting for the pledge. We're waiting for the COVID, and we're hiding in our places. One of the best ways to doing and to enforce your immunity system is talking to another people, because we exchange virus. I think that I already had COVID. I bought it from mail on February, and it was not pleasant. I don't feel very well for 2 or 3 days. But the thing is that I'm here at home, and my husband also have it. And well, it's like influenza or like the HIN1. It's the same sensation. But I think that we had to pass it and to believe a little bit more in ourselves, to take vitamins, to take vitamin C, to exposing ourselves in the sea, in the sun, with the proper care for a really safe environment. But we cannot be afraid of all the time. I think that we had to understand that this is a new challenge, and we had to face it with the best attitude possible.
Well, it's a challenge, and I love that thought. Some of you have, I'm sure, heard that the Chinese symbol for risk is the same as the one for opportunity, right? So how do we as an industry take advantage of this? And building on some of the chats I'm seeing about this infusion of wellness in this space, how do we get the consumer to want it? I mean, maybe experiencing what something like Paulina delivers in a very personalized way and makes them realize, wow, I feel really good. Maybe I should have this in more of my life, you know. I want to jump back to Rene, who has done a lot of work in the AI and digital field. I mean, how do we incorporate the high tech and the high touch future that we have in wellness? Rene, do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah, one of the most important thing is you have to go to piece one. So every individual has its own signature, and from this signature you create experiences. So we live on years and years on trackers, and everyone's got a wrist watch, can do whatever it likes. But what happens with all this data? And who's creating the default of all these data? So we have to be more aware of our own body. And I had a conversation with an Asian master on that. The Europeans like to measure. The Asians, they feel, they know, because they have a completely different approach to his body. We as three long science Renaissance, after the medieval times, we focus on the body as something you can measure and something you can control by measuring. And it's the same happening now. Every day we got the exchange rates, the infection rates, we got figures and figures. So, but now we have these wrists, we have the figures and what we do with it. So we created a shower, and the shower can convert data into experience. So however you feel, it gives you a program. And I think this is what Paulina...
Wait, how does the shower know how you feel?
Because it's tracked by your pulse.
So I don't even have to sort of think about it. It just happens.
Yes, it is like you are in this moment, and it's like biofeedback. You're lying there on a bed, and you have a starry sky. So then are clouds. So you're stressed. So you try to get the clouds away, and you are de-stressed. So this is a way of biofeedback that you create exactly what is good for you through a visual impact. So we did this in a experience exhibition on health. So it works pretty well, and it works in medicine to get rid of migraine and headache, and because you can control yourself with the visualization of it. So when you visualize that, when you visualize your stress, you can get relief. And also like the things, because we're talking about the Internet of Things. So what does it mean? It doesn't mean that your refrigerator buys the milk. It is that everything is connected to the wisdom of the world. And this is when we have our outdoor lights in the office, so they are controlled by the sun. So when the sun is setting, the light goes on. So it's not in a matter of a timer. It is the sun is setting and the light goes on. So this is exactly the same. So you have sensors, they track, and then you have reactions. And so you track yourself, and then you get a reaction by the shower or by something else, what you can imagine. And this is exactly what Paulina said. So you have a one experience, one person have his experience this time because it's tracked in this moment.
So how do we take these ideas that we're hearing about communication, social, AI, wellness infused throughout our resort or hotel or property, and what does the ideal place look like? Let's fantasize it's 2030 and we could make something that was so special. What would that look like to all of you? Alberto, let me jump back to you and give Rene a minute to think about it. What are you hoping to create in the coming future that's so amazing? Alberto, can you join in?
Yes, I will try. What we are trying to do is to, as Rene said, try to customize completely wellness experience. We tried since 2009, but it was not possible at that time because the technology was not so sophisticated. Now you have all the wearable tools, electronic wearable tools that help you. The main problem is that you can summarize the data and creating your own program. But make an example of the shower. Maybe the temperature is not possible to set according to your info data. So maybe I think, you know, you are in a way, maybe your brain says that you would like to be in another. So it's a combination of your wish and your status.
So it's the heart brain fighting about what
yes,
where I want to be.
The main challenge is to, you know, integrate your info data with your wish.
How do we do that? That's the magic question, right?
No,
because you're right. Our minds think we want one thing, and our body says something else.
It's not impossible now. The only problem is to read in a good way your info using wearable, and then give the chance to the client to reset a little bit the data. But with a friendly use, not so complicated. Mm-hmm. We discovered that all of us want simplicity. Simplicity equal wellness.
Right.
There's no complicated wellness. It's two words doesn't marry together.
Well, maybe there's a way to use the digital. Like I experienced at Carillon when I had an acupuncture that was, I forget the word, but it was a computer program, and they chart your meridians and they show you, and it doesn't look good. And then they do the acupuncture, and then at the end they do it again, and you're all smooth. And you as a consumer say, wow, I got that result in only 15 minutes. Okay, maybe there's something here. And so I really hope that we can marry the technology and the knowledge that we have with connecting to consumers about come to the spa and get this. That's what we need to do. Rene, I'll jump back to you. What advice do you have for us to help connect with that consumer?
I really like Laszlo saying the word simplexity. I really like it because it brings everything to one word, and this is exactly what we're longing for. So the world is complex enough, and everything around us has a high complexity, but we need these small little things, let's call them apps, let's call them whatever, to bring us to the point where we want to go to. So when we create spaces that are very, very natural, but we are still the storytellers, we are still the ones to focus on the experience. And this is exactly what is the balance between the wild nature, which is uncontrolled and makes also being scared to many of us, saying, okay, I'm going to the jungle, but don't get away with the mosquitoes. So it's this thing. You want to have the nature as the nature, but you have them safe and an experience which is controlled. So this is exactly the basis. So you have the complexity and on the one hand to control it, but it's invisible. It is simple for you to experience, but it is complex in the background. And exactly this is the way how we use technology in the future that is absolutely invisible.
Well, we can count on Laszlo to come up with a good new word to sum up what we're trying to do. So thank you for that contribution of simplexity. I like that. I want to jump back to Paulina and ask for her input. As we marry the digital high tech and the spa wellness high touch worlds, what are you seeing in your design, requirements from your clients, and how are we marrying these?
Well, the thing is that the things had to be done in a way that, although it's very complicated to do it, the guests or the people that are using the facilities, as Rene said, it's very simple, because I touch a button and maybe I can have a scan of my mind, my state of mind and everything, but we had to do all the work in the back so we can provide this simplicity experience. We are working now with materials that they are very ahead of time. For instance, we're working now with a material that in the moment that you put a little bit of light as a photocatalysis, the material start to I don't know the word in English, to despedir, to release oxygen, and it's a very well-known material that now the provider put this kind of product that with the photocatalysis you get oxygen when you are using it. In fact, they are using it in surgery rooms because it's very wealthy. The other thing is now there is an amazing bed that all the football players in Europe are using that can assure you that you will have best rest, that your stress level will go down. It's a bed that it's called Hobo. And you can find it in the internet, and it's people are, talking about it. Now it's very expensive, but I think that this will be the future. Little gadgets that can help us to be in a very equal and balanced state of mind.
So does it make sense for spas? I'm asking all of my experts that have been so high touch. Is it okay for us to incorporate technology in that journey of the guest through the spa? How do you feel about that?
I think that you should incorporate technology because we cannot be strangers in the evolvement of the world. But other thing that it's very very useful is to go down to your roots. For instance, as I was telling you, we have these canches, these Mayan boxes where we cultivate all the herbs that we use in the spa, and the client can go there and cut their own echinacea for his treatment. So the thing is that you must have these things because you cannot be a stranger in these times of technology. But another interesting thing is that you go there and you can cut the papaya for your facial treatment. And you go down to earth and you're getting all the nutrients and everything. In Mexico, we do things like that because we have this amazing fact that we're the US neighbors, and we have all the technology, but we have a really rich culture that we can have these ancient traditions where the Mayans can go for hours running with the peyote. So I think that we had to have a balance between
A little both.
technology and culture.
All right, and Alberto, I want to jump to you one last time. We'll end in about 5 minutes, but what is our way forward? I mean, what I'm hearing is that there is no long-term impact on COVID. We were already headed in a certain direction, and we will continue in that direction. But Alberto, I'd love a closing thought from you on what you hope to see 5-10 years from now in spa and wellness facilities.
I would like to see a next level of wellness awareness in the world. I mean, I would say, being Italian for me, it's easy. I think that wellness will become, like in the Roman Empire, the terme. So something that is part of our life, not an additional part, not luxury things, not only something for becoming nicer, to becoming healthier, to becoming everything better. I want that become something to live normally, because wellness helps us to create a better society. What we found in this moment is that 90% of the things is not essential. Okay? In Italy, we stay at home for 2 months, and everything seems to be a disaster, but we figure out that 90 or 80% of what we normally did was without any sense. But not wellness, because wellness is socializing, is intimacy with ourselves, is health. So everything, these 3 values, socializing, intimacy, and health, is the 3 fundamental values.
Okay.
And these 3 values is part of the real life, the fundamental of life.
So we've been giving a gift, right? We've gotten a gift of hitting this pause button as a society to think, okay, how are we using our time, right? And how are we infusing wellness into our space? And I'm just hoping that as an industry, we can capitalize. So thank you for your contribution. I want to come back to Rene and ask him, what is fantasy of the future spa and wellness facility? What's it look like? What is it like?
For me, it is very important what Alberto said, that spa is an integral part of the society life. And of course, we have to integrate the places of spa more into the daily life. So this is what I see for the future, is that the spa is coming to the people, and not that the people has to go to a spa, to a very nice destination where it is very expensive to go to, and where it is very expensive because the site is so expensive. So now the spa is coming to the places where the people are working, the places where they are living. And this is one of the major aspects of integrating wellness to the life, and a wellness without a spa is possible. Spa without wellness makes no sense. So this is what we keep in mind, that wellness is like air or water or something we need to survive. And it has to come to us, to our places. And this will be also getting a new architecture, a new design, very low thresholds to people. And so this is, I think, very, very important. This is one of our projects we had, is to create a spa in a working shop area. So it is no fancy site, there's no beach, no view. It's just, yes, there are the people, and they go there for lunch, and they go there into their lunch break, or they go there after their work, but it's close. They do it by just walking. It's a walking distance, and I think this is very, very important. And
well, we've had agreement in the chat about the democratization of it, and we do know that everybody needs wellness. It's not for the 1%. We've been given this gift of the risk opportunity moment to say as an industry, okay, where do we go? So I have so much appreciated the inputs of everyone in the chat and my esteemed panelists today. It's great. I wish we could talk all day, but we do have to actually do work, some of us. So thank you again, everyone, for joining. We'll be circling back to you with some follow-up for some of your questions in the chat, which we will save. I want to thank the Global Wellness Institute as part of the consulting initiative for giving us this opportunity. We are one of 30 initiatives under the Global Wellness umbrella, and none of us are paid for this. We do this because we love it, we're passionate, we love our industry, and we want it to be the best it can be. And it takes a village, or a world in this case. So thank you again, everyone, for joining. I hope you got some inspiration from this, and we look forward to seeing you again sometime soon. In fact, there will be a call next Tuesday morning, no doubt. So thanks again for being here, everybody, and enjoy your day, evening, wherever you are in the world.
Thank you.
Great job.
Alberto.
Great job, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you later, Charlie.
Ciao Lisa. Ciao bella.
Ciao, ciao Elena, ciao.